I'm Alex Crawford. I'm special correspondent for Sky News, and it is an absolute honour and pleasure to be sitting next to such a dogged and determined journalist, and probably one of the most brave in the world, if not the most brave. I've just returned from filming a documentary in Mexico, and really witnessed how much of a stranglehold the drug cartels have on the country and the effect it's had on the whole of the society there, specifically against women. I've covered a few wars, too many wars, and it seems to me that there aren't bombs dropping in Mexico, there aren't shells landing, there aren't soldiers fighting in trenches or reporters alongside trenches, in trenches with them, but there's an ongoing war there. And the statistics are sort of eye-wateringly shocking, particularly about women. You know, women being tortured, killed, raped, disappeared, beaten, sold as sex slaves like commodities. And it's also probably the most dangerous place in the world for a journalist. Now, you're a woman and a journalist, so there's two strikes against you. I guess what I want to know is, I mean, in a room full of passionate, dedicated, fierce journalists, what is it that drives you to do it?
Well, first, thank you for the invitation to come here. For me, it's very important to talk to the international community of journalists, not to try to say that I am kind of a special person. We know we are not. We are just ordinary people that believe that can do little things to change all this mess. Not just in Mexico. In all the world exists a big mess, and we journalists have a duty to do something about that. So in my case, I have been a journalist for the last 30 years. I mean, more of the half of my life. And was one moment in my life in 2000. I was already a journalist, but my father was kidnapped and murdered in Mexico City. He was a middle-class businessman, and he was kidnapped but because money. And when I saw his body, I really understand that this corruption in Mexico hurts, that exists many victims like my father that will never get justice until the society and ordinary people like me do something. So I really decide to confront all the organized crime in Mexico, and the worst part, the people in power, the businessmen, the artists, the nice people that protect these monsters. So I decide to do that, and this is my war, my personal war.
But you've had incredible success. Yeah. You've had incredible success, remarkably, in actually exploiting the links between the drug cartels and the politicians, the drug cartels, and almost every layer of society in Mexico and beyond, because it's not just Mexico, right? Give us an indication of just how layered I saw they seem to have a stranglehold on businesses, on politicians. They'd infiltrated the police.
The president.
The president goes right up to the president.
Not just in the past, right now.
Mm-hmm. So give us so those people who aren't so familiar with what's going on in Mexico, and also you feel really strongly about how it's not just Mexico. It's here on the streets of London as well.
So this is an important part because when I invited in this kind of conference, we are so focused always about what is happening in Mexico, poor Anabel, poor savage country. That is happening in the other part of the world. Yes, it's sad. I can cry sometimes, but that it's not my life involved there. you are really very wrong. And I have been saying this since 2010 when I published my book, Narcoland, about the power of the Sinaloa cartel and how this power is growing in all the world. I mean, it's growing in Mexico. I mean, they buy just Mexico. They are the owners of Mexico, this huge cartel. And because corruption, yes, because in Mexico, we have a lot of corruption. But one question, why this cartel has presence in the 70% of the world? How this is happening? Because the corruption is everywhere. Because the consumers are everywhere. So all these ties that the Sinaloa cartel were able to do in Mexico, they are doing this in China, in UK, in France, in Italy, with all the biggest gangs in the world, Albania gangs, Romanian gangs, Chinese gangs, Russian gangs, local gangs, everywhere. Because they understand that if they do a huge network, they can have a big business. So they have a war in Mexico with the little cartels just to have all the control in Mexico. But outside, they are a businessman. And they have clients. And these clients are you. Modern and very democratic countries that pretend that this is not your problem, but it's your problem because you are the biggest consumers. Mm-hmm. So it's really insane that now new generations, just explain me this, new generations think, oh God, it's horrible, it's a biggest crime. Trash, throw a plastic bag in the ocean because poor turtles, poor little fishes. This is a mess. We cannot do that because we are killing a turtle. But you can get a line of cocaine. You can get some pills of methamphetamines. You can have some fentanyl. For new generations, that is not a crime. Maybe with a plastic bag, maybe one turtle could be killed. But it's certainly sure that if you buy a gram of cocaine, you are killing someone in Mexico, in my country. And this is not moral. This is immoral. Mm-hmm. Sorry, because, I mean, I have to take the chance to, I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
Even getting worked up.
It's not personal with you, but this is the truth.
Yeah. No, but you also think that people are kind of burying their heads in the sand, don't you? If they don't think it's going to affect them and other countries and other economies sooner or later. The focus is on Mexico. It's interesting, though, that it's taken you, an individual journalist who doesn't even is not a staff anywhere. You don't have to kowtow to any editor. You've done it on your own, exposing the very top links between the chief of police, the president. But it took 10 years. Give us an idea of why you think it took so long and why it was left to you to expose it.
So the story behind this is that on 2006, 2011, through some sources inside the government and some sources inside the cartels, I was able to get notice that the Secretary of Public Safety in Mexico, the federal, he was one of the most powerful policemen in Mexico. He paid a lot of money to the media to talk well about him, that he was the super policeman, that he was the hero that was combating against the cartels. And I was able to get and prove with documents I do a very deep research about his money, his properties that doesn't correspond with his salary. And I was able to prove when he was in charge, not after, when he was in charge, that he was in the payroll of the Sinaloa cartel. That he wasn't working for the citizens. He was working for El Chapo Guzman, for all these powerful people in Sinaloa cartel. So when I published this, no one wanted to believe. No one want to hear. Even if I show documents, the properties, no one want to believe. But, this is our work. We have to keep doing. I really believe in long-term investigations. You want to get some justice, you want to get something through your work, you have to keep. Many people say, oh, Anabel, this is something personal from Anabel against poor Garcia Luna, poor guy. Anabel is the worst one. But I keep doing my job. This cost a lot for me and my family. He want to kill me.
He's tried to a couple of times, hasn't he?
He sent 11 gunmen to my house to try to kill me. And now he's in jail. He was sentenced just this year, guilty. Thank you, but sadly, was not in Mexico. Because in Mexico, the justice doesn't exist. This happened in United States, and we know how is the justice in United States, but at least we got this. The tragedy is all his people, all his right hands, the people that operate for him now are in very high-level positions in the new government that pretend to be new government against corruption. The government of this guy, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, the current president, that supposedly is from the left. But he just hired all these corrupted people. And you can understand why Mexico still be a big mess, because bad people is still in power. So, yes, I think I view the things in this way. I won a little battle, but the war, not yet.
Mm-hmm. It's difficult, I imagine, working in a country where almost everyone is tainted by corruption or coerced into it. How did you manage to withstand that? How did you manage to avoid being sucked into it? And also, how do you get your sources to talk? Because you haven't been able to protect all of them either, have you?
This is a very interesting question because, of course, to get there inside the cartels, as I was able to do, take me a lot of time. It's not just one day, yes, and do you want to talk with me? And no. I have been investigating the Sinaloa cartel for the last 17 years. So it's a long, long time to working, digging. And so I have 3 strategies. First, I'm not crazy. I don't want to be a hero. I'm a mother of 2. I have my husband, I have my family. I don't want to be a victim. Even if no one else remembers my name, I don't care. I don't want to be a victim. I want to be alive and do my job. And so I have to do my job very carefully, smart. I will never accept to get silent, never. But I have to, be very careful. I know when an investigation is very hot, and I just have to wait a little bit and then again start. And as the cartels, the Sinaloa cartel, have penetrated to the government and many levels of the society, I found one way to penetrate them. And now I'm really inside, because I am inside of their families, wives, lovers, mothers, daughters. Right now, there are very important sources of me. And now I'm trying to investigate. Okay, we are watching the violence. I understand that. Now I explored all the parts of the corruption, okay? But something is missing. Why these guys are doing what they are doing? It's just money? No, it's something else. So I'm trying to understand why. Who makes them powerful? Why they want that money? Why they want that Ferrari, that huge house, all this jewelry? They need people behind. They need people beside that say, oh, yes, you are a hero. Why you want a Ferrari if no one will be sitting beside you? You need public, isn't it? So the public are these women. If we, the governments in Mexico and different parts of the world, are able to understand that they have a weakness, and that weakness is the families, I mean, the top families in the organized crime organizations, there is the weakness, and we have to explore there. So I'm doing this, and so I manage all these steps to be able to keep my investigation. So right now, I cannot live in Mexico because security issues, I have to live outside. But every time I go back to Mexico, I mean, once every 2 months, and keep doing my job and try to manage and create every time new ways, to understand.
I don't know about the drug cartels, but I'm scared. Tell me, you mentioned you have to live out of Mexico now. What was it that finally made you leave? Because your son was so used to and familiar with bodyguards even before he could walk. But what was the key thing that made you leave? Was it just you thought, right, now I'm a mother, I need to be looking after my family, or did you think I need to be alive to be able to continue this investigation?
The part of my country had been one of the most difficult decisions in my life. And I have to confess that was not really my family, because, I don't know, it sounds crazy and I'm sorry, but when I was doing this, I really was very conscious that something bad can happen to my family. And I don't know why I took the risk. But when these 11 gunmen entered to my house, tried to kill me, I wasn't there. But they took some of my neighbors. The little daughter of my neighbor, she was just 6 years old, and one man put the gun in her head. So I understand that I became very dangerous for others. And this conscience that, okay, maybe I can take my risk, but in my conscience, I cannot put in danger the people that is around me, these neighbors, innocent people, me too, but they didn't took the decision that I took. So I decided to live, to keep doing my job, to keep fighting.
You said once that sometimes you thought that journalism was even more important than being a mother. Explain that, because I find, as a mother myself,
there are things that,
a lot.
I don't know, guys. We are journalists. How can we explain this? It's when you really think that your work, your little work, I am an ordinary people, but I believe in the power of ordinary people. And I will not let to my country, to that cartels and to that corrupted government. So when I don't think just in myself, when I think about the tragedy that is in Mexico, that's why I said, okay, everyone could be my father. Mm-hmm. Everyone could be me. So for me, that is more important, sometimes more important than being a mother. And I have to try to live with this.
Anabel, you are remarkable. Thank you very much.
Thank you.